What's going on, boys? It's your boy, Serena Macaroni MMA, back in another video. And today we are going to be making some fights after UFC 330 concluded 2 days ago. And overall, I'll talk about the card a little bit. The card was not bad in terms of performance-wise. It delivered in a lot of ways, whether it would be like the matchups that were on there or the fights. There was a good amount of fishes on the card. I would say the only negatives about the card are really that the co-main and the main. Just because the co-main event, um, let's be honest here, like coming into this co-main event, we kind of already knew that it was going to be like, a little bit boring or boring, not a little bit, boring because both of the women in that fight are grapplers mainly, jiu-jitsu, a black belt, literally. And then the main event, we knew what Islam's plan was, but like I kind of just wanted to see more because like in the fight there was like one point it was like a good like leg kick, but other than that it was like okay, like is that it? I mean, Ian Gary pretty much held his own in the fight. I would say Islam took round one, round two. I'm thinking of like. It's like Islam took round one and round two with the wrestling, really controlling Ian Gary, and then round three I'll give it to Gary. Round four is a lot arguable. A lot of people would give it to Gary. A lot of people would give it to Islam. Me personally, I give it to Islam by like slight edge. That's like it's a very close round. Um, and then the final round give it to Islam. So ultimately, Islam still won. I mean, it's questionable. You can get round four at Gary or Islam because it's very close. Because not right, Islam didn't really do much damage in that, and Gary kind of did better. He kind of held his own. Anyways, man, let's make fights. We're probably gonna make like fights for the main card specifically. Not everybody on the main card, but most main card fighters, like the co-main loser, co-main main event loser, and then like some the winners, and then one guy outside the main card on the prelims here. But let's get it straight into it and talk about the first match we're gonna make here. That being with Islam Makhachev, and who should he face? He should face Carlos Prates. He said he wants to face Carlos Prates. Carlos Prates deserves it next up. Basically, once Ian Gary kind of moves down here, um, from the rankings, because he just lost, he just had his title shot against Islam Makhachev, right? Crossbar is gonna move up, and you could probably see Gary at like 3, because ultimately it's gonna be Makhachev the champion, then Prates at 2, and then Michael Morales at Prates at 1, Morales at 2, and then you can see Gary at 3. And I think this will probably be Islam's scariest matchup yet out of all of his fights in the UFC and his career in general, bro. Genuinely, I think, like I believe actually, I don't think I believe this. Carlos Prates is gonna give Islam a scare in this fight when it happens. And Islam said he wants to fight before Ramadan, before so Ramadan's like around like February, right? I'm pretty sure, I believe. I'm not totally sure. I think it's around like in February. So probably he'll fight like, late this year, 2026, or like early 2027 in January on like the opening card, and that'll be, that's fine with me. I mean, I like Islam's more, active approach when it comes to the fighting because we do want to see him fight. We do want to see him get in there. I would say though, I just don't like in this fight specifically. I just think Carlos Prates genuinely can knock down Islam Makhachev quite a few times, and even if he, like Islam is gonna have to find like we obviously know an open at takedowns. Islam is perfect at that, but it's gonna be really hard for him to take down Carlos Prates because of the threat he has, and even on the ground, Prates can still maintain himself and get right back on the feet. And this fight is really gonna be a striking thing, and Islam is really gonna have to focus on his striking in this fight because yes, the wrestling we know about that. Yes, he's also a submission threat on the ground, but it's like Prates is such a hard guy to really get to take. I mean, he's been taking that before, obviously, but like he's only lost to Ian Gary, and Ian Gary won that by like a crazy edge in that fight. He just kind of outclassed him a little bit. But Islam Makhachev, like this is gonna be his toughest fight, genuinely. Prates, like the knockout power of Carlos Prates, to me, Prates is the most heaviest, or he is the heaviest hitter in the UFC. And I think if he can like if he lands some clean shots on Islam, that's really gonna take a toll on Islam. And you don't know. Like I think like Prada is gonna like saying he's gonna knock him out. He definitely like that's not like an unbelievable thing to say. Genuinely, he definitely could knock him out. We could see it. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of getting tired of Islam being the champion. No offense to Islam, I don't hate Islam Makhachev. I mean, he's had some nice fights in the past, and cool guy. But like, let's be honest, you don't want to see a guy sit like have the belt. He's not sitting on the belt right now. I mean, in some cases he has, but like he wants to fight within like the next like 5 months for sure. I mean, he took some damage, so he probably needs some time off, obviously, because he took damage in that fight more than Ian Gary did. So yeah. But this is the fight to make. People say Morales should get it. It's like Morales' best win is like what Sean Brady. No offense to Sean Brady, but Sean Brady is like the sixth ranked welterweight, and he should not be fighting Islam. Sean Brady's fighting Bonfim. That's a good fight. But the thing is like that's as he's moving up to get closer to the belt, and one of those guys could fight Morales. Like Morales after Prates, Morales is definitely next up. Morales is probably gonna have to fight someone else. Like he could fight Bonfim or Brady, whoever wins that. He could fight Ian Gary in the future. You don't know. You don't know, genuinely. And I think Morales, like the weight, like he kind of did like a useless weight cut, like for welterweight again, in terms of like him, being the backup fighter for this fight. And it's like, yeah, it's understandable, but like, he has a limited amount of weight cuts for this division because he's definitely gonna be moving up to like middleweight, something like that, because he's a big guy, bro. And his natural weight is not 170, bro. It's bigger than that for sure. Anyways, man, yes, the fight to make is Prates versus Makhachev for sure. Let's move on to who should Ian Gary face. And to me, Ian Gary should face the winner of whoever wins Gabriel Bonfim versus Sean Brady in the Apex, November 7th. Yeah, I honestly, because like right now, if welterweight, it's kind of hard because Ian Gary shouldn't fight JDM. JDM is gonna be fighting someone else. I think JDM could fight Morales. It's definitely possible. But yeah, Ian Gary's not gonna fight JDM. Prates is title shot next fight. Morales, he's probably gonna fight JDM like I just said. Bonfim's fighting Brady, and then like at that point, it'll be no point for Ian Gary to fight anybody below 6. Like why do you fight Bilal? You just beat Bilal. That was the last one before Islam. Why do you fight Leon Edwards? Why do you fight Usman, Buckley? All those guys, like there's no point. He should stick to guys who are above Sean Brady and above. And I think he should fight the winner of that fight. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, either way, whoever wins this fight, to me, Ian Gary has the better chance to beat them. And I think he would beat Bonfim pretty. I think he beat Bonfim pretty easily. With just for like the ground game, the leg kicks, the oblique kicks, the smooth strikes he throws. He could definitely piece up Bonfim, outstrike him. With Brady, I think it'd be a little more difficult just because if he gets taken down, like Ian Gary's pretty good at stuffing takedowns. He has a pretty good IQ. He's pretty good at the distance. Cause Sean Brady, like the height difference between Sean Brady and Ian Gary is like there's a difference in the reach too. So Sean Brady would have a hard time getting to him. But yeah, Ian Gary's pretty good at keeping his distance between certain fights. Like he was trying to do that with Islam, and he did a pretty good job stuffing a good amount of takedowns in that fight. But like with Sean Brady as well, it's gonna be another guy you gotta really watch out for. Cause once you get them to the ground, Sean Brady could definitely hold him there, look for submission, just throw a bunch of strikes on the ground. So both of these would be kind of, tough matchups a little bit, maybe early on in the fight. But I think once, Ian Gary kind of gets used to their styles of fighting, like he's obviously going to watch a bunch of film on them. But once he gets used to the way they fight, then he's definitely going to be ready. And I don't see him finishing out these guys, but I do think he would win this by decision. By the way, this would still be nice, fun fights to watch. And whoever wins this fight, really, it doesn't matter who it is. I think Ian Gary would still beat the person by unanimous decision. Anyways, let's move on to the next champion, the next person who won, that being Mackenzie Dern. She retained the belt against Julie Robertson. And I think she should fight Zhang Wei Li. I think Zhang Wei Li is basically like, realistically, I wanted her to fight Zhang Wei Li. But the whole thing of Zhang Wei Li's doing a makeover, change, whatever. And I think Maybe she's still recovering too. I mean, I don't. I mean, this doesn't really matter to me. I don't really care that much. But like, John Way's the number one contender in strawweight. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it doesn't. You wouldn't put her. You wouldn't put her. I mean, you wouldn't put Mackenzie Dern against anybody else than John Whaley. She's the number one contender. She's next up for the title shot. I do think John Whaley would win this fight because Mackenzie Dern. Yes, I think her biggest the main reason why she won the fight against Julia Robertson was because her athleticism, how strong she is, her physical capabilities. She looks like bigger than Julia Robertson. She looks stronger. She was faster. She had way better control in the fight on the ground. But I think with Zhang Wei is different. Zhang Wei is not. She knows how to hold her own when it comes to going down the mat for sure. Striking, we know Zhang Wei is gonna piece her up. I think Zhang Wei generally could finish Mackenzie Dern. And like, I mean, she could definitely finish Mackenzie Dern like early, maybe in the middle of the fight. But ultimately, I think this fight goes to all 5 rounds. Mackenzie Dern is really gonna utilize her jiu-jitsu. Um, her holds, looking for submissions the whole entire time. But I mean, she's gonna have to with a fighter like John Whaley who's very aggressive, high motor, very quick. She's really gonna have to really like lean to that her jiu-jitsu, her grappling abilities in general, just because she's not gonna outstrike John Whaley. I don't care if she's bigger. I don't care if she has if she's improved her striking. She's still going to rely on her jiu-jitsu for sure. Like obviously, before when she won the vacant strawweight belt and she beat Verna General, her striking it didn't look bad, and even in the Julia Robertson fight, her striking didn't look bad either. She looked like it improved, but obviously she got a lot of grappling. She held Julia Robertson there. Julia Robertson, I mean, it's kind of her fault because she really couldn't get up out of it. But ultimately, I think John is definitely going to get the belt here. Definitely gonna She's definitely going to beat Mackenzie Dern, in my opinion. I would say so, but this will be a nice fight. But I feel like it's extremely one-sided though, in terms of Jones the marauder, and then Mackenzie Dern's kind of just like a grappling specialist. But like whatever. But anyways, you can move on. Who should Julian Robertson face? That's the next one we'll do next. And I think Julian Robertson should face Alexia Danara, who's coming off a win against Amanda Lemos, who's a seasoned veteran in the UFC. And I think, obviously, Julian Robertson, she's coming off a loss to Mackenzie Dern. She got dominated in the fight, really. We know that. But I think her next matchup should be Alexia Dinara, just because once the meta AI rankings come out, we're gonna see Julian Robertson get moved down to like maybe 6 or 7, right? And then Dinara is at like 8, I think, or 7, and she might move up. So I think that should be the next fight. Dinara should fight Julian Robertson. I think that would be not the worst fight ever, because Dinar is also a grappler as well. I mean, she kind of dominated Amanda Lemos on the ground in her fight against her. She had a bunch of control time. She was out striking her a lot in the fight. I mean, Amanda Lemos, to me, Amanda Lemos is not a bad striker at all. She definitely can strike with people for sure. She's a good amount of finishers in her career and some in the UFC. But realistically, Esadana in that fight looked better. She's the younger fighter, and coming into her prime, she's the better grappler. I know most of the weaknesses is grapplers, but I think Julian Robertson, she's a grappler, specifically mainly a grappler. She's not really that good of a striker. I mean, I just don't no offense to her, but I just feel like she threw a lot of pillow punches in that fight against Mackenzie Dern. It just didn't look good. I thought she was gonna do better, but I was not a fan of it. Thought she could have done way better. But ultimately, I do think that I would say this fight's pretty even. But I do think on the feet, Alexa Danara definitely can damage you. I'm pretty sure she cut open Amanda Lemos in that fight. I'm pretty sure she did. But Alexa Danara does throw a lot of punches. She does want to come at you, and if she needs to, she can definitely take Julian Robertson down and control her. But I think Julian Robertson has a good chance on the ground, holding her own. But to me, she's just so Alexa Danara looks like bigger. She looks like bigger, stronger, faster. But you don't know. Julian Robertson definitely could make a comeback and improve a lot with her striking, and maybe try to not rely too much on her grappling as she did in the first. I mean, like, cause like Mackenzie Dern just piecing her up in that fight. It was just kind of hard to watch a little bit because I mean, it was kind of boring too. But this should be the fight to make, I think, or she could fight someone else. I'm not totally sure who in who could she fight in strawweight? I mean, she could fight Loopy. Fatima Clown would be a nice fight, but I think Fatima Clown's probably gonna fight someone else. Yeah, but I just gonna be like Lupe Godinez or Alexia Denaro. That's probably the only two people I can think Generals can fight next. Or Fatima Klein, maybe, but that's a maybe, a hard maybe. Next, we can move on. The next fight, the fight was right under the co-main. We have Jalen Turner versus Kyle Fernandez. Jalen Turner starched him, destroyed him. Practically one shot at Kyle Fernandez. I like Kyle Fernandez too. I was like, damn. But I want Jalen Turner to fight Manuel Torres. I think it's time for Jalen Turner to come back in the rankings. He's retired. He got dropped from the roster, rankings, all that. He was done, and now he's back. And it's like at the bottom of lightweight. There's Benil Dariush and Manuel Torres. I think Benil is gonna fight someone else. Maybe an upcoming prospect, a guy who's had a good amount of fights on his belt so far in the UFC. But I do think Jalen Turner, he'll be back. He'll be back in the rankings soon. But I think Manuel Torres, he's fighting Manuel Torres. Manuel Torres they're kind of similar in terms of like, their striking. Once they, like they have nice both of us have nice combos. I mean, the Kawhi Fernandez fight, Jalen Turner didn't really do much. He just, a couple of strikes here and there, boom, it was over. But Manuel Torres, to me, this would be a nice fight for him. Kind of a spinning head kick loss to Rafael Fiziev, which is nasty. This fight is more even than people think it is. Mayo Torres, to me, is the more aggressive guy. He's always looking for a finish. He's just looking for a finish too, but I do think Jalen Turner can be a little bit more passive in terms of like, he doesn't really want to run into like a strike. Because like we've seen him, if you've seen Jalen Turner fight before, you've seen a lot of his fights are like wars in a way, but like at the same time, I do think he really need to be really careful in this fight. He should fight passive, and like he should really kind of like if he needs to back up, he should back up. But overall, in most of his fights, he's going to war with a lot of guys. Like I remember the Dan Hooker fight. When he fought Moicano, like he has a lot of good wins. He's beaten Eros Medic, who's the upcoming guy in welterweight. Beaten Bobby Green. He destroyed Edson Barboza like over I think almost a year ago. But that was like his last fight before time. But I think this fight is a pretty evenly matched fight. It's 50-50 for this fight, really. Like if you were to predict this fight, I think Manuel Torres he has a slight edge over Jalen Turner, but this fight is 50-50. This will be a nice fight in lightweight. I do want to see Jalen Turner get back in the rankings, get back there. Obviously, he'll never, to me, he's never going to be a guy to win the belt, but he's always got to stick around the rankings, move up, move down, beat guys. Like, obviously, he always puts in a performance. He's always a fun fighter to watch. And Manuel Torres is another fun fighter to watch, and this will be a good, exciting matchup that a lot of fans will want to see. So I think this fight would be good to make. Maybe put it as like a co-main on like a Apex card. Should be a banger. But yeah, this be a good fight. Next matchup. That being my boy, Dustin Stoltzfus. Dustin Stoltzfus versus Dustin Stoltzfus, I said it right first time. Versus Mansour Malik. He destroyed Malik basically. And I would have him fighting Vicente Luque, who also fought on this card. And he lost to Tresean Gore. I think, Luque's problem in that fight was just, he had the Darce choke locked in at one point, but he just kind of like, he didn't tire himself out. He was still like fighting. But, I feel like once he fails the Darce choke, it's kind of hard for him to really lock in. Unlike a guy like Tresean Gore, because Tresean Gore is another guy who really focuses on submissions as well. And he tried a submission late in the fight too. Although he did kind of gas out a little bit. But all of it, like Luque, he got outstriked. He got controlled more. I mean, he didn't do a bad job in this fight. The first round was close, but then after, round 2, round 3 were kind of like not in his favor. But yeah, I think he should fight Dustin Stoltzfus. It's a nice little cool fight. I think like both these guys are pretty good, on the ground. Like they know what they're doing. Stoltzfus is a wrestling guy. He has, I'm pretty sure he has a couple submission wins in the. If you exclude Malik, yeah, he's a guy like on the ground. He fights on the ground a lot. Um, he's not a bad striker. He has knockout wins too, but I don't really care for his knockout wins. But like to me, Stoltzfus is more of a brawler. Luke can brawl too. These guys are both guys who like to brawl. They've been in a lot of bloody fights, some war fights, kind of similar to the Jalen Turner fight and Manuel Torres fight. This would be another, brawl, bloody fight, And Stoltzfus is definitely good for that. Like he's good for, getting into big fights or big or heavy, fights where it's like, he could be the underdog in a fight and he could definitely win. And I think in this fight, he can definitely beat Vicente Luque. But at the same time, Luque is another guy who's like dangerous, bro. That Darce choke he does is dangerous. His striking is pretty good. He has he uses a lot of leg kicks. Or not a lot, but he's a good amount of leg kicks that are implemented into his fighting style. And I do think still supposed to we need to look out for Vicente Luque because it's like the fight goes to the ground. I think Luque has a really good chance of submitting Stoltzfus, but Stoltzfus definitely could defend himself if he needs to. Actually, we saw him slam Malik, and Malik is a bigger guy. I think Luque could slam too. Definitely possible, but this will be a really fun fight to watch. And I would, this is another. I would probably lean more to Luque, but this will still be a pretty good fight to watch, man. Um, with how much of a brawler these two guys are. But anyways, let's move on to the last and final fight I've made here. That being Charles Skullet Gang Johnson versus Jose Ochoa. And obviously he was supposed to fight Jose Ochoa on UFC 330, like the card he was, but Ochoa had to drop, I think, because of I'm pretty sure it had to do with like Alan Nascimento, which is fair enough, understandable. And we had Eduardo Chapelin getting here, fight Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson won by Scottish Twist, which is insane. Never in 2026 would I think Charles Johnson would submit somebody with a Scottish Twister after he got submitted in his last fight against Aslam Abayev with what was the stretch submission? Whatever it's called, but yeah. But this fight should be rebooked. This fight to me is still, if Charles Johnson really wants to contend, he needs to beat and fight a guy like Jose Ochoa, who's still a nice upcoming guy in flyweight, who has a nice, he has some solid wins under his belt. I did predict this fight to have Jose Ochoa win by like knockout, but I do think Charles Johnson could definitely get him on the ground and submit him. Like now that I look at it, Charles Johnson has a very good chance of winning this fight, but at the same time, Jose Ochoa at the knockout power from him, and he definitely can knock out Charles Johnson because his chin is questionable. In the Eduardo Chapelin fight, he did get knocked down too, so it's like like Charles Johnson is no stranger to getting knocked down, but I think Jose Ochoa could knock him down here and there. But Charles Johnson could definitely survive. He started in Chapelin, but Chapelin didn't capitalize on his knockdown, but. Rebook this fight, put it on numbered card. Oh no, put it on an Apex card because this fight was supposed to be on a main card of a numbered event, and I didn't really get that. But you put this fight on a Apex main card, I'm fine with that. I'll definitely sit down and watch this fight to the fullest because I like both these guys. Both of these guys have finishing ability. This will be a fun fight to watch, and yeah, younger guy versus kind of an unk looking to get back in the flyweight rankings. He still might want to fight Royval, and it's like, no, bro, you're not ready for that, bro. You get destroyed by Brandon Royval, bro, or really most guys in like the top 15, specifically the top 10, would destroy Charles Johnson for sure. But anyways, that's gonna be the end of the video. Yeah, a lot of these fights make sense to me. I do think a lot of these fights should be made for sure. A couple of these kind of are confirmed basically. They're not really officially booked, but like a couple of these have been confirmed basically, to be happening, or like what's next for the person who won. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. Like if you like the content, like and subscribe. But yeah, man, I'll see you boys and peace.